Hey crafty babes, it's Andrea. It's been all year and I have not shared any of my 2017 Project Life 12 by 12 album, and we're gonna do that now. I have a lighting situation that works a lot better than all the other times I attempted to film this album for you. The problem is that they're all in pockets, and obviously that creates some glare. So I was pretty busy for the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year we moved and the lighting situation was not good. It was not good at all. And so I've had to work on that, which I have, and there is going to be a tiny bit of glare, but we do need some light. So I hope that that's okay and doesn't bug you too much. But I think what we're going to do is just do some sections of my Project Life album starting from the beginning, and we'll just see how far we go. And there's probably going to be several parts to this because there's no way I'm going to get through my completed 8 months so far. So I have another video that is about prepping pages in batches. And that is what I had to do for about August through November, because I was just really behind and I needed to get my photos in and I needed to determine what cards I was going to use. So I have a video on that. Check that out. I'll see if I can link that at the end, or you can just look for it. But so I only have up to August completed, which means, you know, cards in, embellished, journaled, and all that. And that's because I was doing the page from front to back, you know, from start to finish. And there are some incomplete pages that once they're finished, I'll do another little flip through so that you can look inside the rest of those pages. But we're going to start here with the 2017 opening page, and I just usually try to get a recent picture of the boys and Matt and I. Sometimes I've done photos like this where we're kind of together, and then maybe I've done one of each of us and say a little something about ourselves at that time. So this one just I had some photos and they were pretty recent, so I just used them, turned them black and white so that I could use whatever colors I wanted. And this is a combination of, looks like Ellie Studio and Felicity Jane. Just really fun, not too bold colors, but really fresh colors, which is exactly what is good for me and my soul when the new year starts. I like a good fresh start. So I just did a little journaling, used a calendar, lots of hearts and stars, noted the year. And one of the things that I like to do sometimes is take a 4x6 card and cut it and use it across 2 3x4 sections. That's always a fun little thing to do. This first week of January here, I just always like to use my photos to drive the products that I use. And so here we've got a black and white and another black and white, but we've got some blue and we've got red and we've got some orange. So I just chose some stuff from my stash. This was not for a design team. This was just let me pick and choose whatever cards I feel like go really well. And that was pretty much how that worked out. I want to make sure I grab a little paper here so that the other page behind isn't distracting. I'll try to make sure I move it around. So a couple of different things I did here, which I really had fun doing, was this doily, and then I layered a little tag off of the bottom and chopped it down, and then just did a little stamping. Sometimes it's just very easy to use the most boring supplies and then make them really fun. This was a really fun page because Ellie Studio had started coming out with green and blue in their supplies, and I just loved it so much. We got a lot of rain, so I took a photo of the radar from the Weather Channel, and that was really nice to be able to use green all over. And then we just had a lot of fun family things that we did. We went to the lake. Well, the lake and the river are together, kind of. The lake feeds into the river when it overflows, and we had major capacity issues with how full it was getting, and we went down to see how it was rushing, and it was really cool. So I wrote some stats down, and then just part of that week included football and basically weather and miso soup. Let me grab my paper here. This was a really bright, fun page that was all basically inspired from this photo of these two oranges from my friend's tree. And I just used all the orange and green that I could and ended up turning the rest of the photos black and white, except for just a couple down here, which was fine because then I just kind of used some blue every now and then to help balance out that color. These are... as I'm looking around at these, I love these supplies. I'm so glad that I had these. They just make me super happy. A lot from One Little Bird, some things from Ellie's Studio, some things from Allie Edwards, some older We Are Memory Keepers kits. Just, yeah, super fun stuff. A couple of different things that I'm noticing here is that I used a couple of different pieces of paper to make like a little corner here, to add a little bit of pop of different colors over here, lots of stamping, and yeah, just some fun things. It's like new for me because I haven't looked at these in months. This is week number 4. And I did a lot of, this is a Felicity Jane design team project actually. So I used a lot of stamps and a lot of the cut aparts and a lot of the letters and stuff. So everything from here is from Felicity Jane, and the purpose of all of these was different ways to make your own inserts. So like, for example, here I used a background with a pattern, another pattern, and then layered a couple things. Here I used a frame and used the inside of it for the title. Just something simple as using 2 different stamps to make your own card. So there's just a lot of things here that were designed to show how you can use the supplies to make your own cards when all you have is maybe just some pattern paper and, you know, embellishments. This, well, you'll see this kind of every now and then is just empty pages, and someday I might go in and fill them in, and I've done that in the past where I'll just use this as an opportunity to use up some of my cards. It may not include a photo, it may include a quote or just some fun cards that I like to use, and some years I have not gone back and done that, but I do like having the opportunity to go back and use my cards that I didn't get to use, that I really like, and just fill them up with whatever colors and color scheme I like. But that happens because the next page or the next set of photos that I had may not have fit well in this configuration. So I just leave it blank and move on. And that's all right. I totally make the rules in my album, so I get to say, and that's okay. So this page was all about Marshall getting a couple of teeth pulled. He is not an easy guy at the dentist, and so it was a bit of an ordeal, and I did a lot of journaling, but he did really great. And I used the Ellie's Studio, I think it was called either Sick Day or something like that. It was just, it had all these like little band-aids and how are you feeling, and you know, just different things, hugs and kisses. It had like some stethoscopes and just different things about you know, feeling better and getting well soon. And so I used that kit to document this. This page actually has been my wallpaper on my computer screen since I made it, because it has all of us in it, and it's got some really fun colors. It just makes me really, really happy to see all of the colors. And I actually just, I love this page so much because there's just so many little nuggets of things and supplies that I really, really, really loved. So a couple of things here. I had a lot of photos from this one little selfie shoot that Marshall and I took. And so I made a 4x4-ish grid out of it. And that way I could use them all together, and just made them really small. And then I just lined them with some different supplies there. I did some clustering here with some enamel dots. And here, this is an LA Studio card, and I actually just date stamped the actual days next to all of the days of the week. Other things that I did, I was starting to get more comfortable clustering things, and just being able to use colors together, it made me super happy. So this was fun. And we're getting to about spring-ish, and so we're outside more, we're playing with bubbles, and things are just more colorful and bright, and that's awesome. So this is all from LA Studio. Again, I'm on the design team, and their stuff is amazing, and it works really well together from month to month. It was all really inspired by this card here, which is still one of my very favorite LA Studio patterns. Just so fun for the spring, even though we're still looking at February. But in California, we get spring kind of early. We don't have much of a winter, and so the days after winter that have sunshine, we were always outside. Always outside. Nothing else really super cool or interesting, I guess, about this page, other than these vellum hearts and stars and shapes that are really super fun, that are great for layering. And then I like sometimes to layer some tags and add a little bit of texture to the pages. This is an album that I don't really get outside of the pockets too much, so it's nice to be able to have something that kind of, you know, sticks out. There's another blank page, and here is another LA Studio page that I did about our trip to IKEA. I used some of the letters and labels and patterns and everything. The only thing not LA Studio is this Allie Edwards card. I think this was from one of the Day in the Life kits. I found some of her digital stuff. It was on super sale at one point, and I just grabbed some stuff that I thought would be awesome to use, and I really ended up loving that card with this page. Oh, another one of my fun pages. I totally forgot about this one. Lots of LA Studio stuff here. Surprise, surprise. But this was me, we had just gone to IKEA, obviously. This page, we went to IKEA, and we got a couple of Kallax cubes so that I could redo the family room. And it just was so much more bright and open, and I had so much more space for my little things. And I really wanted to include this California postcard that I had in my stash for a long time, because I have this embroidery piece that is the California bear, and I use fabric for the little grass section, and then I use fabric here, and then it actually says California Love, and the star is just super cute, and it's like 3 little stars actually. But so I wanted to use that, and the colors just went really well with my TV stand. This is just a fun and simple page. As you can see, I'm not doing a ton of layering. There's things that are just single on here, things that are just by themselves, and that was perfect for kind of just having this open, airy layout. Okay, so week 7, I believe these two go together. Yeah, they look like there's some blue and green going across, and I don't see like week 8 here. So a couple of things. I love when LA Studio makes these 4x6 pages that give you like kind of space for a title. It works really well for doing your week numbers. And then I'm doing a little bit more of like fun supplies and things that I dug through my stash to find, like this PM routine. This is from an Allie Edwards digital kit too. And then I'm using some Reset Girl stuff here. So I've clustered a couple of stickers from some of her kits. And then here I've got some really fun colors underneath this picture of Gibson playing guitar. And I actually stole one of his guitar picks so that I could put the actual pick in here. And that's something fun that I like to do. And sometimes, you know, I put receipts in here or tags from clothing, stuff like that. So these kinds of real life things are really fun to include in my albums. Here is a page I did of Gibson getting his permit. I have no problems using pink on a layout for my boys. His photo here has his permit little completion slip and this one too. So I used that as my cue that I could just use pink and use pink and black, and it really worked well. I have, again, no problems using pink for pages for the boys. It's honestly just a light color red. So what's the big deal, right? But here's another example of some tangible things that I used in my album is the receipt for the cost of getting his permit. And then here in this little 6x8 page protector, I put his actual certificate and some of the other little pieces of paperwork that are associated with him getting his permit. Sorry, I'm covering those up because they have addresses on them. I love you guys, but not that much. This is a page I did for Felicity Jane. I don't do many layouts, but I do still like to include them when it's a really special photo that I feel like just kind of needs to be documented by itself. And Gibson was just really loving being with his guitar and learning so many new songs and fun songs, and he would come home and play classic songs for me, and it's just really warmed my heart. So I loved being able to just focus on the one photo of him and use some really beautiful supplies to do that. This is a one day. This is just a Sunday that we went to one of my favorite restaurants, and I always like to take a picture of the quarters that we use for the jukebox because this is, I'm sure you guys have heard of Mel's Diner. But we like to sit at the tables that have jukeboxes so that we can all pick fun songs to listen to. And that's basically my favorite part, that and the cherry Coke. And this is something that I did a little bit different, is I used a mask to make this circle stamp. I did this for Felicity Jane's blog. If you are interested in knowing how to do that, if I can remember, I will link. But otherwise, you could go to Felicity Jane's blog and you could just search my name and you can see all the blog posts that I've done for them, and should be able to find this. It's probably one of the very first ones. But this was fun, just being able to use polka dots and navies and greens. This was a fun one to do. So these two pages are not together. They are not associated with each other, but they do have a couple of different, I really should have just pulled out a 12 by 12 white piece of paper. It would have been so much easier. But anyway, you get the idea. This one here, it was basically, I had all these random photos that didn't really fit anywhere. They didn't fit within the color scheme of the week that I was working on or whatever. I just kind of had them set aside. And then I realized that they were all my favorite things. And so I decided to do just one page on my favorite things at that time. And so I made a little list of, well, I made the list here. And then this was actually one of the things, was a to-do list is notebook paper and office supplies and things like that. But I got to use just favorite colors and had a lot of fun doing this page that wasn't about other people's stories or trying to remember journaling or what somebody said. It was just like, these are the things I like, and I'm going to make a list and make it pretty. So that was really fun. And this is a little bit about Gibson going to a winter camp for church. He volunteered at winter camp. So winter camp was a camp for middle schoolers, and as a high schooler, they can go and volunteer. And they make food, and they have kitchen duty, and they do lots of fun things. But it was something that he and his friends did that year. Week number 8 is really starting to feel springy and clearly we're not wearing shirts anymore. We were on the trampoline a lot. It was basically where we spent all of our time when we were outside. This is not for a design team, so there's so much going on. There's stuff from Project Life. This is a Maggie Holmes kit. Actually, there's a lot of Maggie Holmes stuff here. And I just have fun sometimes when I get to be digging through my stash and finding, you know, like finding the right yellows. That was something that was a bit of a challenge, was finding this particular, you know, like limey color yellow. It doesn't have a lot of green in it, but there's enough green to where it's not like a banana yellow. So that's a challenge, and part of what I like most about this project is just finding the colors that work. And that's just something that I enjoy so much. Here I stamped out all the dates. Again, I had done that previously. I did a lot of just kind of little chunks of layers, and when I have so many photos and I still have cards that I want to include so that there's enough color going around, I will just journal little tiny bits of things on the photo itself. So that's pretty much that. Week number 9. Ooh, this is using a lot of One Little Bird. I think she had a Better Together collection that was this blue and red and yellow, and it was just super fun and went really well with the colors in this week's photo. So a lot of red and a lot of blue and a lot of yellow. So that worked out really well. A couple of different things I wrote on the inside, or I wrote on the photo to make it look like it was on the inside of the bag there, and I stamped on this photo. So, you know, getting a little bit more comfortable with my supplies, like knowing what pen works well on, you know, on a photo, and knowing which stamp ink works best so that it doesn't smear or smudge. And so I wasn't using StazOn ink at this time, but this looks like it is a dye ink from Heidi Swapp, which dried pretty quickly on this photo. And at this point in time, I believe I'm still getting my pictures printed at Persnickety. Actually, nope, you know what? Nope. I'm printing at home exclusively at this point. So it didn't smear very much. It dried pretty quickly, and didn't, you know, sometimes when the stamp is too wet and if you move the stamp pad any little tiny bit, it slides. Well, this dye ink did not do that, because I can see that it's a pretty smooth impression, which is great. But now I use StazOn ink, and it works a lot better, and I don't get that sliding issue when I stamp on my photos. So I think we're gonna do one more week, and then we're gonna stop this particular part and move on to the next part. So here's week 10. There's actually a couple of different things here. These are 2 separate pages. So this one is just about Marshall getting knighted at school in 3rd grade at his school. When you master your times tables, you have a knighting ceremony, and you are the master of the times table. Get it? Like the Knights of the Round Table. It's a big thing that the school does, and it's really fun, and the kids get very excited. And I know it's not a real sword. It's a plastic sword, or it might be, I don't know. It's not a real sword, but it's fun, and the kids really love it. So he got knighted, and then after school we took him for breakfast. He wanted IHOP, and he wanted breakfast and lunch. So he got a whole pancake breakfast, and then he got a grilled cheese sandwich and fries. So, and then this page is for the week. These are the weekly photos, and it turned out to be just not a lot of photos, so it ended up fitting just on one side. And this here is my all-time favorite card that I've ever made. ever. It just, having the idea to do the different hearts, just it was so, I was such in a good groove, and it just made me super happy to have the colors that lined up, and that just all of it makes me super happy because it's all the colors and they're all nicely arranged. So yeah, I'm a little weird. But that's this page. A couple of things about this page is just there's a lot of hearts and stars. Ellie Studio had just come out with the puffy stickers, the puffy shapes. They smelled so good, and they're like this soft, really puffy material, and the colors were super bright for spring. It was really awesome, really good. So this actually, all of this here is from Ellie Studio stuff, and I'm guessing this is probably from the March or April kit, but one of my favorite color schemes that they've done. Just, I love all of the colors, as you can tell. We're going to wrap up part 1 of this album, and I hope you join me for the next couple of flip throughs, however many that's going to be. But thank you so much for joining me on this section, and we'll talk really soon. Thanks, guys.